guys, it's Jonathan with the Positive Pin and Project Positivity. And I'm here with somebody that I've been meaning to interview for several years. I mean, how long ago did we meet, Shessvy?
We are probably going on about 2.5 year, 3-year mark.
We went to an event and Shessvy was working at a hosting area down in the Pearl, right?
Right, exactly.
And we just got to talking, and Shessvy has a really, really amazing story. It was really moving, and I kid you not, when he was telling me his story, I literally got tears in my eyes because it was so powerful. But the thing that really moved me most about your story was that although you've had these tragedies, and if you want to share them, I'm sure we'd love to hear them again, was your attitude. I mean, you were so outgoing, so bubbly, so smiley. So, you know, I want to finally thank you and acknowledge you and give you this positive.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, say thank you for your positive inspiration for myself, because I think that's one of the things that I benefit from doing these interviews, is that it reminds me how blessed I am and how other people who have gone through challenges keep a positive attitude. So Shessvy, now, you know, I was looking at your Facebook page because you have such a unique name. It's Shessvy Lepekelly, right? Right,
Shessvy Lepekelly. I am literally the only one in the United States with that name.
I believe it.
I have an actual certificate from the Yellow Pages that says I'm one of one. So that's kind of cool.
So tell our viewers, share with them what you want to about some of the challenges you've gone through, but more importantly, what do you do on a daily basis? How do you stay always happy and always outgoing? Because you're one of the most positive people, and I never hear you complain or see you complain or post anything negative online, and I think that's really good. So tell us.
Thank you.
Start where you want to.
No worries. Well, first of all, I guess I'll start with you know, who I am, where I'm from, and how old I am, so people have an idea of that, right? You know, I'm a 40-year-old guy. I was born in Guatemala in 1976 in a very small town, right? When I was about 1.5 years old is my first memory of life altogether, is when I was 1.5 years old. But have you seen those commercials of the little kids that are digging through trash fields, and you know, they're like, donate now, right? Yeah. Well, that was my neighborhood. That's where I grew up. You know, that's what I was born into. And what keeps me positive on a daily basis is the excitement and the possibility of changing that, right? And having the opportunity to work hard, to actually do something more and accomplish something greater than the environment that I was brought to. Because I didn't choose the environment that I was brought to, but I definitely have a choice if I stay in that environment or if I do something to get out of that environment. So back to my first memory, right? When I was 1.5 years old, you know, I woke up at midnight to my mom and my grandmother arguing because my mom was leaving her kids back with her grandma. So my mom was literally abandoning us, and that's my first memory of life. I fought with my mother for 4.5 hours, begging her to take me with her. You know, and after 4.5 hours of fighting with her, she finally gave up, and she told me, you know, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you with me, go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you know, I'll be there to take you, right? So I told her, you know, I don't believe you. But she convinced me, so I went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, my mom was gone, you know? And it was a very difficult time in my life for me, because I had to really make a decision. What does this mean to me? What have I done to make my mom leave me at such a young age, you know? You know, am I ever gonna see her again, you know? So I really had to make a decision. What does it mean to me, right? What do I focus on, and what am I gonna do about it, right? So what it meant to me is that everyone needs to be happy, right? And everybody is looking and searching for happiness in their life. And sometimes somebody has to make a choice that might hurt somebody else, but it might benefit them in their life to be happy. And that's what it meant to be when my mom left. To me, it meant my mom was trying to be happy. She couldn't be happy in her current situation, so she had to leave. And what I did about that is, what it meant to me is, oh, she just did it because she wanted to be happy. It had nothing to do with me, you know? What am I gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna pretend that every time and every day that I go to sleep and I have a dream, I'm in wherever she's at. And when I'm here awake in Guatemala, I'll play with my brothers. My brothers used to ask me all the time, don't you miss mom? Why are you always happy? How come you don't, you know, how come you don't miss her? How come you're not sad? And I used to tell them all the time, well, that's because when I'm awake, here I am with you. And when I go to bed, I'm with my mom, wherever she might be at. And that's how I stay connected to her.
So it sounds like forgiveness was probably one of your core things on getting over feeling of unhappiness? You kind of forgave your mom, listen, right?
Well, kind of. You know what? I'll take it a step further than forgiveness. I'll say that I realize that people aren't trying to do things to you. They're trying to do things for themselves, and sometimes they don't necessarily look at how that actually affects the people around them.
That's a good point.
You know, so and that's where I go back to everyone's just trying to be happy. You know, so appreciate that about people and understand that if somebody does something wrong to you, it really wasn't meant to be malicious, but they were just doing everything in their power, everything that they know how to do to reach that point of contentment and happiness. Right? So, I mean, you know me, I've experienced many setbacks in my life. And I think the situation that you and I spoke about and the one that you were talking to your viewers is, you know, that situation that I can honestly say no one should ever go through. And that's the loss of a child. I lost my son. You know, still very difficult for me, but I lost him when he was only 23 weeks, you know, 23 weeks in the womb, so he was very premature, but I take full responsibility of my son's passing. And the reason why is because I have a belief system inside of me that says everything I experience and everything that comes to my life is here because I wanted it to be here. I might not know why, I might not know what lesson it's trying to teach me, but I do understand that the way that the universe works, I attract everything that comes to me when it comes to an experience.
Yeah, that was one of the most powerful things that I took away from our first conversation, because I had just met you, I just met him, and he tells me about his history, because I said, yeah, interesting name, where do you come from? And he tells me the story, and I was kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to hear that from a guy who has such a great attitude, and then the loss of your son. And you know, I was so impressed that you said, well, there's a lesson there, and things happen for a reason. And I think a lot of us, we don't put our faith, whether you guys, some of the viewers, believe in God or a higher power or a higher being. I think once, my favorite speaker, Jim Rohn, said that, you know, he said something along these lines, where once he realized that things really were out of his control, that they were in the control of a higher power, he began to sleep like a baby. So yeah, things in our lives sometimes feel like we're in control, and some things we can't control, but there's a lot that we can't. So
right.
I just was really impressed by you saying that, you know, there's a purpose, there's a lesson here.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, for me, I took so many things away from the passing of my child, you know. Just to give you a little bit of insight of the condition he had, my son had premature dwarfism, so my son didn't have the ability to grow lungs, so he was born without lungs. But my son still lived for 10 hours. Without lungs, his heart kept pumping. You know, that drive to be here, to connect with me, was so powerful that, you know, what I got from that is what I took back to my children. I have, you know, he was my 5th child. Yeah. So I have 4 other kids, you know, I have 4. I have a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old, or I'm sorry, a 20, 19, 17, 5, and then my son, right? But what it did is it showed me that regardless of the situation that you get brought into, you still have the ability of pushing towards something that you've never done before, right? And what I told all of my kids after our son passed is that our son passed to show you that anything is possible, including being born with no lungs and living for 10 hours so you can connect to the people that you love. So don't take that don't take that lesson for granted, and do something with your life and make a decision on what you want to do for the rest of your life, and honor it by trying to do the best that you can for your brother that's no longer here, you know? And I can tell you, my kids were struggling at that time. Like, you know, I had 2 sons that were playing video games all the time, that really didn't want to interact. After my son passed away, my 17-year-old is now the captain of his football team. He's a quarterback. It's completely, you know, 180 their life from being that, you know, typical millennial who doesn't want to do anything, to being a driven individual who wants to accomplish and has goals in their lives. So it was definitely a blessing in our lives, even though it will always bring, you know, pain to our hearts that he's not here.
Yeah, I can imagine going through some of the challenges. Like, when I think about what you went through, and I think about some of the quote-unquote challenges or problems that I think I may have, I think, man, that feels in comparison to, we all fighting a battle, right? That
right.
most people don't know about.
And it comes back down to, what does this mean to me? You know, what am I going to do about it? And how am I going to focus on it, right? So, I mean, if there's really a lesson that I want other people to really resonate with, is no matter what happens in your life, the 3 decisions that you really have to make is, what does it mean to you? What are you going to do about it, right? And how are you going to focus on it? And if you can really get those 3 things lined up in your life and the situations that are not working for you, you'll see really quickly how quickly you'll be able to maneuver those things to a positive light after you decide to implement those things.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a lesson in everything. In all of our challenges that we go through, there's a lesson there. Do you have any routines that you do, like on a daily basis, like when you wake up? Because I'm real big on routines. I love to know when I hear people or when I meet people that are successful or doing good things. Like, what do you do? What do you do when you wake up? What's the first thing you do? And what's your routine like?
No, I you know what? For the longest time, I didn't think that was important, right? A routine, right? But then I read a book called Habits, and I realized that our routines really dictate our entire life. Right? So having a really good routine is key to having a positive mental attitude. So the first thing that I do when I get up in the mornings is I actually get up and I say thanks to my wife and my children for being there. I learned a long time ago that family's first, and unless you have those family connections, right, it's really difficult. So that's the first thing I do when I get up, is I actually get up and I give thanks to my family for being there, and then I actually tell myself today's going to be a successful day, and I'm going to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish today, and then I let that go. I don't hold on to it, because if I hold on to it, then I'm always going to be worried in the back of my mind, am I accomplishing everything that I need to accomplish?
That's a great point.
You know, I just let that go and understand that as long as I have a goal, I understand what it is, I will drive to make it happen. So that's pretty much all, you know, that's my morning routine. But I also have an evening routine. And I learned this routine from, I want to say it was Neville Goddard. And it's basically at the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I reenact my entire day, from when I woke up to when I went to sleep. And if there was a situation throughout that day that went awry, that I didn't like the way that it went, I reimagined the situation the way that I expected it or I preferred it to go. That's so basically, regardless if I had a bad day, before I go to bed, I fix all of the issues, problems, and concerns that I have before I go to sleep, and I go to sleep thinking that everything is perfect, and I'm going to wake up ready to go tomorrow. Because when we go to bed, those last thoughts and processes that we have are going to get, sent right to our subconscious mind, and those are the things that drive our decision making during the day, right? So I want to make sure that I'm priming myself and that I'm teaching my subconscious to be positive on a regular basis, and that's actually, you have to have a relationship with your subconscious to do that.
Yeah, that's a great, I haven't had anybody say that before. That I've had people say, oh, I review my day, but to really go and reframe it and say, this situation it's turned out the way that I wanted to. That's cool.
Well, let me give you an example, right? Relationships, right? With our girlfriends or wives or whatever or whatnot, right? And I got to just keep track of the time, but whenever I get in an argument with my wife, right, I realize maybe 3 hours, 4 hours later that I probably could have done some things differently so we wouldn't have gotten in a fight together, right? Or I could have reframed something that I said with a different tone in order to get a better response from her, right? So what we do is we'll think about that during the day. We'll go, I should have done that better. Dang, I'll think about that next time, right? But what we're not doing is that we're not preparing ourselves or priming our subconscious to have that response the next time. And the way that you do that is before you go to bed, you reenact the situations the way that you would rather have them gone, so next time you're in that situation, you will react based off of the frame that you've decided to go with versus just your past reactions to that same situation.
I like it. I'm going to use that.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope you guys use it too. You know?
I'm actually giving a speech at the end of the month. I may have to implement that, shift some things around, because I like that. I mean, it totally makes sense. One of the things that, as you guys have probably seen in all the other videos, the stuff that people are sharing, you may already know.
Right.
But are you using it? And I love the phrase by Samuel Johnson. He said, people need to be reminded more often than instructed, because a lot of the stuff is common sense. It's just not common practice. So, but that's new to me. I've thought about going back and reviewing my day, but I never thought to go back and visualize it turning out a more positive or a better way with the different endings.
Right. And then think about how that would make you feel before you went to bed.
You're absolutely right.
You know, you're going to be much happier in a much more happy and content and relaxed state before you go to bed if you reenact your world the way you'd like to see it. Right? So that goes back to my point of what you focus on. See, a lot of people focus on the negativity in their life, right? Because it's such a highlight in their life, right? But what they don't realize is that other than negativity, they're not feeling any emotion whatsoever. They're just walking around like zombies all day, you know, because they don't realize that they really aren't feeling anything. And the reason why they attach themselves to negativity is because that's the most impactful emotion that you could feel that would give you a sense of
feeling alive, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it makes sense.
So me, knowing that, I decided to focus on, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on the things that are going to make me happy, that are going to bring me joy, that are going to be spontaneous, but in a good way, right? I think Tony Robbins has this phrase that I really like is do you really like surprises? And people always say, yes, we love them. And he's like, no, you don't. You really don't. You only like surprises that you know are going to be good. Yep. You do not like surprises when they're bad.
Yeah, I'm surprised you have cancer.
Right, exactly. Bad day, right? Surprise.
Well, I know you have to go because you're getting ready to do a phone call. This is a busy guy. You know, one thing I like to do in the spirit of helping each other's professional careers grow, as well as sharing positive messages, if there's somebody out there that could use your business, are you looking for more business?
Oh, we're always looking for more business.
So tell our people, our viewers, what you do and how they can contact you if they could use your services.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I didn't even think about that, but absolutely. I work for an organization called Cinch Managed Services. I'm the vice president of sales for the organization. What we do is we manage companies' infrastructures so companies can reduce their IT spend while maximizing their performance and optimization of their websites. So if you're looking, or if you're a business owner who currently has a website and don't have an IT staff but are looking for better performance or optimization, just go to cinch.com and then drop us a line.
And how do you spell Cinch?
CYNCHINC.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So thank you. You know, we'll be more than happy to help anyone. So.
And here's the thing: if you guys are going to use a company, why not use somebody who is positive-minded, who is goal-oriented, somebody like Shessvy. So thanks again for doing this.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
And guys, you know, if you want to get a positive pin to wear or share, you know, our website is www.positivepin.com. And if you want to see other videos by inspiring, motivated, positive people like Shessvy, the website is www.thinkpositiveblog.com. And pardon my crazy hair, I'm not sure what's going on with it, but we will see you in our next installment.